get us headed into um, our presentation this morning, we wanted to make sure that we spent some time talking about Beyond Ready. We've talked about it a little bit, and we've named our conference that. And those 4-H folks talk about this Beyond Ready stuff, and so we want to spend a minute thinking about exactly what is that. And so we called on our friend Dave Francis. Now, Dave is an extension professor at Utah State University, and he is the state director for 4-H and the extension director of youth programs in Utah. And he is providing leadership, of course, for Utah's 29 counties and all the 4-H programming there. During his career, he has also served as Utah's state 4-H military liaison. And so we're excited to bring Dave to talk with us today about Beyond Ready. He also works with the 4-H STEM program, where he's developing curriculum, but he's also working with young people to do not only STEM, but design thinking and addressing complex challenges, which I think is one of the coolest things. And so we're excited to have Dave with us. His work focuses on positive youth development, outdoor and environmental education, career and college readiness, and building partnerships. And so we are excited to have you with us today, Dave. I'm going to get out of your way and let you do your thing.
Hey, thank you so much, Harriet. So I will go ahead and we'll get a little slide deck started here, and we'll jump in here and feel free to use the chat. I'll make sure I keep an eye on the chat. We're going to use the chat occasionally for some questions, and we're going to talk about what Beyond Ready means, especially through the lens of military connected youth. And reality count is I love that we're using the word ready with military partners, because you all know this is a word our sailors, our soldiers, our airmen, they drill at readiness centers. We talk about soldier readiness. So this is something that is already front burner on your minds of how are we always being ready for what comes next. And so let's talk about what Beyond Ready is. So what does ready mean? When you think about that young person as they turn 18, what do you hope they are ready to do and ready to be once they turn 18? Go ahead and throw some answers in the chat of what do we mean by this idea of readiness? So we want them to do things and be ready for what? To do and be. And throw some ideas here in the chat. Employment ready. Okay, excellent. Dependent, independent, self-sufficient, caring adults. Ready to succeed, active member, college and career readiness. Be independent. I love it. Critical thinker, college ready. Independence, continuing education. Do what they love. Excellent. Be themselves. Be a good friend, a good community member. What they want to do after it. Safe choices. I like that. What I like what's coming up in the chat is when we're talking about readiness, it's not just are they ready to go into the workforce? It's are they ready to be good human beings that contribute, right? Do they have the life skills to show up and be ready for that next step? I'm gearing up next week. We welcome our incoming freshman class to Utah State. I'm gearing up to teach them for 3 days. And I can tell you the readiness level of incoming freshmen, it's all over the map. From kids who are trying to figure out how to do laundry for the first time, grocery shopping for the first time, to even navigating streets because they've never had to navigate really understanding how to get around a college town. So that's what's exciting about this is readiness can mean lots of things that you guys are putting there. And so what we want to think about for ready, what this means, honestly, as we look at our logic model, is this. So we have this framework. And really, what our goal is we can take all of your comments that you made in the chat here, and we want them to be healthy, productive, and engaged. That's really what we're after. And what's interesting is this started as a career readiness, a work readiness initiative. But so many of our youth have pushed back and said, work will not define who I am for the next 60, 80 years, especially as they look at how long they're going to live. They're saying, I don't want just my work to define me. I want to be ready for a life that I may have multiple careers in, a life that I'm going to be happy and satisfied with who I am and what I can do. That's what they want. They don't want to just be ready for the job. And so I hope you've seen this framework. And why I wanted to start with the framework is what Beyond Ready is not is just another marketing campaign from National 4-H. Oftentimes, now, are there some glitzy, amazing marketing pieces that come from Beyond Ready? Absolutely. But this is not a 4-H Grows Here campaign or something like that. This is an initiative with a framework guiding it. And that's what's important is if you really want to understand how I'm going to use these programs and how I'm going to help them become ready, we start with our framework. So on our left side of the framework, we have sparks, belonging, relationships, engagement. That's kind of that foundational developmental context that we start with if we have a high quality youth development program. And then if we do those things, we get them ready for work and ready for life. And that's what those things are there are these um, outputs that we hope happen here. We're teaching about content, we're fostering character, we're fostering purpose, we're promoting caring and kindness. That's what we hope happens if we do a high quality youth development program. And then this is the goal, and this is what's so hard is we get them to the edge of the forest and then we got to hand them off. So when we hand them off to life, we hope that when they leave us, they are ready for work and life and they have these skills and those are the outcomes that we're after that when they leave us, they're ready for that. And what when they leave us, if kids say I'm healthy, productive, engaged, that means I'm ready for work and life. That's what we're after. But it starts with the framework and getting that developmental context right. Because if we get the soil right, we're going to do a much better job of having a yield that we want to have happen. Now, what's extra hard about our military, and I will say, being a military liaison is some of the hardest emotionally and the most rewarding opportunities you'll have in your 4-H career. The people that you get to work with, the youth that you get to work with, the families and the stories that they have are amazing and difficult at times. It's a lot to process. And what makes it harder is we know these kids are oftentimes moving and we want to keep these things going and keep that soil the right way, even though they may be moving and that plant has to keep moving with them. So let's dive into a little bit more of the framework and what it means here, especially through the lens of our military partners. So healthy, productive, and engaged. So what I want to emphasize is this is not a new project area for 4-H. This is not the new robotics, the new drones, the new healthy living initiative. This is a way that we say whatever we're doing in our program, we're going to be more intentional about the outcomes that we get. So in the chat, when you see these words healthy, productive, engaged, what does that mean to you? And what are we doing now that might help us get these youth to become healthy, productive, and engaged? Throw out some answers. Don't all jump in at once here. Oh, there we go. Life skills, sense of belonging, community building. I love this idea of healthy risk because I love it because we're not trying to coat them in bubble wrap and protect them from everything, but we want them to be strategic about what risks they take, especially as their brains are still developing, right? That's what's scary is their brains are still developing. And so a safe place. Oh, trade skills. Okay. Opportunity to grow, a longer lasting community, be a role model, sustainability, managing mental health. Thank you for saying mental health, because oftentimes when we think about healthy, we jump to the physical, but it's as important that social, emotional, mental health is good. Having joy. Yes, absolutely. Smart risk taking, enjoying community, independent thinking. So we want them to be engaged in this community that they're not just consumers of, but they're giving back to and they're being productive. This is good leadership. So you understand that healthy, productive, engaged, that's what we're after. And I think if you ask to any parent or guardian, do you want your program that we're providing for your youth to give them something that is healthy, productive, and engaged? They would say absolutely. And our goal is to be a little bit more intentional. We have a lot of fun in 4-H. We have a lot of fun in our youth centers, but we want to take that next step and make sure that we, because sometimes I admit we feel like some of the content area is like eating broccoli. We got to put some cheese on the broccoli, right? We got to make it fun and engaging. But we don't want to have so much fun that we forget that we need to have those outcomes out there, right? And so that's what we're after here is put a little cheese on that broccoli, but make sure that we have the outcomes that we're after for the youth that we're serving. So as I mentioned, it starts with the non-negotiable of the developmental context. Sparks are that passion or the interest that gives direction. If you haven't ever done this, ask kids, what is your spark? What is that thing that fuels you, that makes you excited, that makes you interested in something? And sparks are not just hobbies. Sparks are deeper than that. I'm really into this, and then help kids understand their sparks a little bit more. Because sometimes a person may say, oh, like I talk to a lot of horse kids. They say, oh, my spark is horse. Well, what is it about the horse? Is it the relationship I have with the animal? Is it the ability to train the horse? Is it that sense of belonging I get because I'm at my horse club and this is my vehicle to be with them? Or is it the problem solving that goes with that? Some kids that are really good at running a horse pattern in an arena, their spark is problem solving because they want to figure out, I want to go fast, but I want to be effective. And actually, they begin to see that that spark for solving problems in the arena can be translated over to other places. Ask them what their spark is. Some kids, they want to build things because they want to solve problems. We joke in STEM a lot that boys are content to build bridges, and if they get to blow it up after, they're even more happy. But girls want to have a understanding of, if I build this bridge, who's it going to help? And that can be their spark is they want to help someone. So ask kids what their spark is and process with them what is this idea of spark to help them understand what their spark is so they find it and they fuel it. And we want to make sure that once you find your spark, that we fuel it and make it into a fire and it doesn't fizzle. Belonging, that idea of feeling secure, connected, and valued. This can be extra hard for our military youth who are frequently experiencing deployments or they're frequently moving. How do I have a sense of people that are always there for me and I feel like I belong? That's why we have youth centers at every installation. They have a sense of, if I show up here, I can um going to they want to feel safe and secure and they want to feel like they belong to something. And that can be hard, especially as you get older. Everybody wants to feel belonged, especially in those teen years. Relationships, this is where our youth center staff come into play, that trusted relationship with a caring adult, that 4-H volunteer leader, that advisor that helps them. They have a relationship that they can trust. And then engagement is, are we engaging these youth in a project or a program that has these three in enough long-term engagement that we're actually going to measure it? So it can't just be a one-hit wonder. It has to be this longer-term engagement. But if we can get this right, if we can get the foundation set, regardless of the content area, whether that be, I love it, Brent, your daughter wants to blow up the bridge, and whether it's, doing blowing up bridges or doing horses or exploring computer science or doing physical fitness, whatever that is, we've got to make sure and we have that foundation of sparks, belonging, and relationships, and we're engaging those kids in a longer term project. So, ready for work is not just about getting a job. So when we think about ready for work, ready for life, we get this developmental context ready. We want them to see outputs that are sometimes related to 4-H project content, but they're also work readiness skills, their college and career readiness skills, their leadership development, their real life experiences. And what we call them is durable skills. We've shifted from talking about soft skills. These are durable skills because they last a lifetime. And this is extra important for youth because they know that the job, and they are tired of hearing this, by the way. Don't tell them, well, the job that you're, going to have doesn't even exist yet. They don't like hearing that. And it's not really true. But what they do want to hear is, if I give you a toolbox of durable skills that is transferable from job to job, career to career, you will be successful. Things like when we talk about leadership, that's a very transferable skill across multiple careers. That's what we're trying to do is give them experiences, give them work readiness skills that they can leave us and say, you know what, I know a little bit about this, but I have an even more strong set of durable skills that I can solve problems, I can go after, I can deal with, I can be empathetic to my kid, to my coworkers, to my friends. Those are the kind of durable skills that we're after. Whenever we talk to industry, what they want is they want durable skills. Oftentimes, we can teach a technique, how to weld, how to fix a radio, how to do a specific computer program, or how to teach a specific way. But what's harder to teach is the durable skills. And one of those durable skills that I really want to emphasize is creativity. Don't downplay creativity as one of our durable skills because that's something the industry keeps telling us. If we're going to solve novel, new problems that we've never had before, we need creative thinkers. So don't discount those art projects and those creative arts projects in 4-H as fluff or, oh, they're just craft time. Those can develop some amazing creative skills that are durable skills. So that's ready for work. But again, youth keep telling us, I'm not just a worker. I want to be ready for life. So this is character, responsibility, purpose, goal setting, having a growth mindset. And some of these ready for life skills that go under responsibility, yes, that does include some of the adulting skills that we want to teach our kids in 4-H. So think about I give you this toolbox of durable skills, and then I want you to be ready for life to have these characteristics that you can have a decent character, that you're a decent human being. You can set goals. And if you hit an obstacle, you're not going to quit. You're going to have a growth mindset and say, okay, I can figure this out. I can keep growing. I can learn. I don't have a fixed mindset. And more than ever, when I talk to incoming freshmen, I've been reading their essays as they come in. They want purpose. Youth want to see that they are valued and they have a purpose in life beyond just a paycheck. Now, we all have to pay the bills. I get that. But we do want to have purpose. They want to find purpose in their life as well. That could be in the job and outside of the job to get them ready for life. Part of this big push for Beyond Ready is helping kids find the right pathway. And I want to emphasize, and this is where it's hard because the 4-H side of the aisle in this group all work for land grant universities. And at times they feel a little pressure from the land grant because we have this thing called an enrollment cliff where there's going to be less kids going and less kids in the population, so less kids going to college. We all want them to go to our college, our land grant. But that's only one pathway. And we want to emphasize that the reality is only every kid needs to figure out the right path for them. And there's not a one size fits all after high school. Military service can be an excellent pathway for youth. Skilled trades, apprenticeships, technical training, this is on the rise. And you can see the headlines of, is college worth it? Is it, is AI going to take my job? So skilled trades are there. College is still needed. We need people with those college skills, the skills of becoming a learner that you learn in college. And some kids are saying, you know what? I want to enter the workplace. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to figure out my own pathway. And what's important about this is to recognize that we know the data shows that our military youth are more likely to go into military service, but that may not be the only thing that they want to do. So as we talk about the right pathway for each youth, it's figuring out where do we want to go and how are we going to help them get there for the next step. So it's exploring the possibilities, figuring out this is the right fit for you, make a plan, and then build the skills to navigate to get to that pathway that you want. And that can be some simple things like filling out work applications, building entrepreneurship skills, teaching how to navigate FAFSA to figure out financial aid if they're going to go there, giving them opportunities to meet with people in the skilled trades. And a lot of our installations and a lot of our readiness centers have people in the skilled trades. We have mechanics. We have people like that have skilled trades that kids can begin to get hands-on experiences with when they're younger to figure out, is this the right path for them? And the good news is military 4-H is already doing all this. Even though the community is changing as kids move, the youth center and the 4-H program are being that consistent 4-H community that hopefully they feel a belonging to every time they get to a new place. Every time they can try and find 4-H, regardless of the zip code or the country they're in, they can find 4-H. Relationships, we are building that into our program with our youth center staff, with our 4-H volunteers. And I will say some of the best volunteers have come from younger soldiers, airmen, sailors that have time after work to be 4-H volunteers and be those caring adults and mentors for our youth. Now, on the 4-H side, I'm going to be honest with you all. They are an amazing source of volunteers, but you've got to be patient and understanding that occasionally those people, not only do they have lives, but they have lives that involve, hey, I know we have this club going on, but I'm going to TDY for the next 6 weeks, so I can't be at club, but I will pick it up when I get back. We have to be a little bit flexible with that. But we have a great source of young adults in the military that are looking for opportunities to serve. So relationships is a huge opportunity for us to connect some of our youth with those people, as well as people in the community. We're building those readiness skills of leadership, teamwork, adaptability. And that's the great thing is the resources that we have sometimes at our military training facilities are top notch to teach some of these readiness skills. And then pathway, you guys are talking about pathways and showcasing pathways as opportunities for youth. Now, when we talk about pathways, I want to emphasize that it can start on the very low end of an explore activity. This could be a simple science activity that we do, as a one-time, one-hit wonder activity. But if that fosters my spark, that can lead to a learn. And then I say, oh, you know what? I want to do a 4-H project in this area because I really like this. And then for the 4-H project, it can become a teen leader where they're teens as teachers. There can be camp counselors, things like that. And then they get into that level. And then they may identify an internship or an education pathway to say, okay, you know what? This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And what I want to emphasize is this pathway isn't as linear as we'd like to think. When we talk about pathways in 4-H, think of it more like a river that's braided, where you may not have to go and say, hey, I did the spark activity and I really like this. I want to take the next step. You may show up as in a 4-H club and say, I'm jumping in right here. Or you may be recruited to be a team leader, leading a bunch of other youth in an area that you may not have as many skills in, but all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Because I was a team leader helping at this camp, I really love this and I want to do more. I want to go there. But think about being intentional so that when you do a 4-H project with youth, they have a next step to go to. So it doesn't just become a one and done activity that they can say, you know what, I really found my spark here and I want to go to the next level. But also be providing enough explore activities that you can find your spark. So it's not always the same thing over and over. And kids are like, yeah, I don't find my spark ever because we keep just doing healthy living activities. And then within that spark, find where they want to go. So, for example, our National Guard has a gardening program. And what I love is I love youth gardening with kids. And what we found is some kids, they find their spark and it's all about the plants, learning about the plants, caring for the plants. Some kids could care less about the plants. It's all about how do we, once we harvest, how do we make this into something great? How do we make gazpacho? How do we make tomato basil soup? How do we do these things? They want to cook. They just want to make sure that we get the plants along far enough that we can harvest and eat. Other kids are entrepreneurs and they say, yeah, I just want to move product. How many more of these cherry tomatoes can I sell? Get them in a basket and do that in a farmer's market type program. So there are opportunities for kids to find their spark within a project. We just have to be very intentional and dialogue with them about that. So within Beyond Ready, we have 4 growth strategies. And what's great about this is military partnerships are called out as a specific strategy. So the first strategy we have is retention. We want to keep the kids we have longer. And we know that there's a drop off around middle school into high school. So we want to keep those kids engaged through their teen years. And I saw you guys are learning about Clover later on in this session. We're going to talk about Clover briefly in 2 of these windows. we're going to talk about some skill builders that are coming to you guys in Clover for teens that will help with retention. The next piece is that internal partnership. We have all these land grant universities that have lots of departments in them. How do we foster and engage those people in those departments to say, you have knowledge, we have youth, let's work together to build pathways for these kids? On our external partnerships, military has been specifically called out. When we hear that there's over 1 million youth in our military programs, that's a huge opportunity for us to engage external partners and better serve our military partners both on and off installation so that we can build out those 4-H programs to be more robust with that, as well as partners at the Boys and Girls Clubs and other nonprofits and community organizations. And the last place is that virtual engagement. And I will say that you can do this one of two ways. We can facilitate virtual online clubs, and we have this new thing you guys are going to be hearing about called Clover, if you haven't already, and that is completely virtual. And that allows for some amazing learning activities to happen digitally, as well as some analog activities that kids can do if they find their spark and they want to keep doing this. And the great thing about Clover is a youth will keep their Clover account and they can keep that regardless of what city they're in. They can log back in and they don't lose any time. And again, as I mentioned, that connection to retention, in the next year or so, you're going to see a skill builder and a skill tracker in Clover for kids 13 and up that is going to help them and these caring adults identify them building skills and then passing off and certifying that they have skills. So virtual engagement is a huge opportunity for us to keep going there. So now I want you guys to think about this, and this is where we can use the chat again. Think of them one military program you're involved in. Where are your sparks, belonging, relationships, engagement happening? How does it prepare youth to be ready for work or life? And what can we do to help you see and navigate their next step? So think about what we're doing already, and do you see this showing up already in your program? And if it is, how might you be more intentional about that? Yeah, and feel free to jump into that chat and share some ideas here with the group. Excellent. Listening, responding to what they really want and what engages them. It doesn't have to be a canned program. Exactly. I work with a coordinator who's like, these are my 6 boxes, and I go through them every 2 years. I'm like, well, let's actually ask the kids what they want to do. Allow them to experience many things. Help them find their spark. What skills they have. Youth volunteers for soldier family readiness groups. Getting them to see what military jobs look like. I think especially for our non-military youth, helping our 4-H youth help at these events to see there is a huge opportunity of job skills and variety of people that work in the military. That's huge. Believe in them and help themselves believe in themselves. That's huge. I love this. You guys are getting that this is a not a one-way street. It's a two-way street where we dialogue with, figure out who these kids are and what they want to do and what they want to be and give them options. Being present, excellent. And I will say, as we end here, I realize I'm running out of time, so I'll jump to the end here for questions. What questions or ideas or opportunities do you see for the military partnership? And one that just came to mind that will help you all is you guys say like, okay, because I get it, like you want to find out what these youth want to do and what they want to be, and you're like, and where do I find a curriculum for that? Let me give you a tool that you all can use. Enhancing hidden skills. I love this. Um, Let me show you all a new resource that we have here called the 4-H Curriculum Hub. And so now you've had these conversations and you're like, oh, what do I do? I don't know how I can find this kind of thing for these kids. I don't know. I don't have that ability. Well, let me give you a resource. I'll put it right here in the chat. We have developed at Utah State for 4-H a custom GPT. And what this custom GPT does is it allows you to say, all of a sudden now, I had some listening sessions and teens want to do this project. Well, it will help you guide you step by step by asking some iterative questions about the age group, how long it is, things like that. And so I'm going to put this in the in the chat, and you'll click on the curriculum hub, and it will ask you what you want to do. If you want to create a Beyond Ready curriculum, check if your Beyond Ready curriculum is ready, create a 4-H curriculum. It will help you do that. And what they do behind the scenes here is it is going to say, okay, this is what you want to do, and it will guide you of how, like, do you want to do a 6 club meeting? Are we doing a year-long program? And what's great is in the custom GPT, we've taken the 4-H Beyond Ready framework and we've taken the 4-H checklist, so you can check against a Beyond Ready checklist to see how ready this is and what I can do to improve it, or you can start from scratch. So, like, for example, the question was, is there any hospitality opportunities for kids? Well, you could pop that into the custom GPT. And I apologize, you guys. I'm going to go off script here for just a second here. And I'm going to say, let's see if we can open this up into the custom GPT, and we'll ask it a question. And ask about, let's ask about hospitality. If I can get it, let me go to the right thing here. And so I'm going to switch screens here. And so you all can see what I'm seeing in the Zoom here. And stop share for just a minute. And I promise I'll get you back on track time-wise, but I feel like we should show you guys this hub because this could really be helpful. So here you see, create a Beyond Ready curriculum. Check if my curriculum is Beyond Ready. Create a virtual curriculum. So I'm going to say create a Beyond Ready curriculum. And I'm going to say hospitality. So boom, we open up the curriculum designer. And it will start asking you these iterative questions that will help you do this. And so, what's your need? What's your issue? Hospitality. And so then you begin to see, and I won't walk you through the whole thing for the sake of time, but if you are in a youth center and you're like, hey, I need a curriculum on this because this is what the kids said, I can look at the age. It'll direct me to my age. It'll ask me, how long do you want this? Who's leading this? Is this a team leader, a content expert? And then it'll start walking you through the process. Okay. And so that's what we want to showcase there. It's so easy, proofread it. But what I love about this is it gives you guide rails for that are in the behind the scenes of your Beyond Ready framework, and it gives you guide rails for your Beyond Ready checklist. So you can take those two tools and say, okay, what will I do? And it will walk you through step by step. And within half an hour, you'll have a decent program ready to rock and roll. Any other questions? Do you have to be a 4 agent to use this Beyond Ready program? No, Christy, you can use this. At North Carolina National Guard, you just go to that link. You don't have to be a 4-H agent. You can use that. And what we like about it is it has solid guardrails that will help you find relation content that's built in the Beyond Ready framework, experiential learning, as well as backward design. So anybody can use that. Any other questions about Beyond Ready? I just want to leave you guys with, it's a huge opportunity and responsibility that we have to guide these kids down the path. And when we hand them off, as hard as it is sometimes to be like, oh, they're graduating, it's like, boom, we have done our job to get them ready for work and life, and they're ready to go on to the next step. And that's what we do. That's our job every day. And we want to help people be more successful and our youth be more successful, especially those youth that are tied to military families that are giving so much. We know they give a lot. And so anything we can do for that is helpful. So with that, back to Harriet. And please, I'll put my email in the chat. If anyone ever needs help or in emails, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Dave. Goodness, I knew we had picked the right person, but holy cow, I think you I think you kind of wowed us all once again. Utah 4-H for the win.